Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 999. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
Last episode of the three-digit era of Radio Free Skaro before we embark.
The upstairs neighbor of the beast. I have to make the joke.
Before we embark, of course, on episode 1000, which we'll get to shortly. You already know about it. We've been talking about it for weeks, but we'll talk about it officially today because this kids, is the Gallifrey One preview show. After this, we'll run down some of the news and notes and stuff that's going to be going on at Doctor Who this week. But, this week is Gallifrey One. Many of you are probably listening to this on your way to Gallifrey One or commiserating that you're not going to Gallifrey One. So you're both welcome and we're sorry that we're giving you FOMO. Yeah. Gallifrey One, 35 millimeter, 35th edition of Gallifrey One. That's correct. How many have we been to? This is our what now? What did we determine? 14th or 15th, depending on.
Something like that? I mean, you got one more than we do because you went to one of the pandemic ones.
Yeah. But I like, what was our first one? Was it 19? 18? 21?
First one? 20.
20? Was it 20? It was just 20, was it?
20 to life or something, yeah.
Oh, the first one. Wow.
Yep.
Wow, but
2009.
I remember it was 2009, but like when they number Super Bowls, thinking, well, what is Super Bowl 37? What is that? What? Just tell me the year, damn it.
I just remember looking once at the number of Super Bowls versus the number of Grey Cups and going, rank amateurs.
I know, right? It's been like 106 Grey Cups or something like that. Super Bowl weekend,
Super Bowl didn't come about until much, much later.
1967 was the Super Bowl, which is apparently happening this weekend, from what I've been led to believe. But I don't believe it, other than Warren's hosting a party on Sunday when this.
Yeah, because I have cable and nobody else does.
He's the nerd that has cable. Yep.
And I never watch sports, but whatever. I'll have friends over. I don't care.
Look who's come crawling back to cable. All those people who wanted to watch the football. No, I'm talking about the people who are coming over to your house.
I specifically crawled back to cable in 2016 when I blasted through my internet quota watching Al Jazeera and I think CBS Online. And I was like, I think I need to watch news. And now it's the opposite. I'm like, I don't want to watch the news anymore.
No.
Don't make me, brain.
How ironic, Warren, that you don't watch news anymore, but you will have the Super Bowl on. What have you become?
I do watch the news, mostly Canadian news.
That's true.
That's kind of relevant right now.
It is a little bit. Yeah, you will not be you will not miss us at Gallifrey One, kids, just so you know.
Nope.
You will know that we are from Canada, we'll say. Over
By
the course
both
of the
means
weekend.
Obvious and subtle.
Yeah, as is the Canadian way, dare I say.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah.
We will finally start saying a boot.
Finally, I know, as opposed to the small subsector of Scottish immigrant-based people who live in Ontario who say a boot, but everyone in the States thinks that everyone says a boot. We don't. It's a big country. It's a big country. Look on the map sometime.
Ontario is the only part of Canada that matters, right?
100%.
Well, it's the center of the universe, obviously.
Yeah. They decided
Them in Quebec, that's what? How much?
Hey, listen.
Two-thirds of our population? More?
We are more unified than ever thanks to a certain individual to the south. So don't queer the deal here, Chris.
It's amazing, yeah. It is quite amazing what's been happening here. But
my apologies for that possibly offensive term.
Yeah, I know that's an outdated term in that context. But anyway, Gallifrey One, LA is going to be like, so weather-wise, just to give you a heads up, I think we're like I don't know what, mid 60s in American, but like mid-teens Celsius for the rest of the world. It's and lots of rain on Thursday. If you're planning on doing a Thursday,
that's my outing day.
Exactly. It used to be our traditional outing day, and I look at the weather and going, oh, like
I'm a Vancouverite. I laugh and
heavy
mock the
rain. Heavy rain on Thursday potentially.
Whatever.
But it will kind of stop after that. Thankfully.
10
Yeah.
millimeters of rain overnight, 15, 20 millimeters during the day.
Yeah.
And it tapers off overnight.
Yeah.
Well, Los Angeles needs that after the fires. Come on.
It does, but but just factor that in when you're thinking about outings on the Thursday.
True.
It will not be pleasant weather-wise.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's just looking at the 7-day forecast. That's the only day that it's going to be really lousy.
Yep.
A little bit of rain on Friday held over from Thursday, but wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a lot of rain, isn't it?
It's a lot of rain. It's a lot of rain. Thankfully, the weekend itself isn't that rainy, which is good because it might be required for a lot of people to be outside. So an update before we get into the proper Gallifrey One preview. The LAX Marriott escalator that goes from the lobby down to the convention floor is blocked off. They are having to repair it. They're having to work on it. It won't even work as a staircase. It is completely blocked off. So there are now a couple of different options to get from the lobby down to the convention floor. One, they're going to open up a new staircase, which was hitherto unopened. That sort of goes like near the parking garage. I've been trying to like picture it in my head. There's going to be signs. It'll be well posted and stuff. You won't miss it. Or conversely, you can walk down the literal parking ramp. It's a big circular ramp that goes all the way down to where like the food trucks are. You'd literally have to go outside and go down that way. It's a much more gradual slope. Elevators are there too, but I would say if you don't need to use the elevator, don't, because people who do need to use the elevator will only have to be able to use the elevator for the most part. So that's one wrinkle. That's not the convention's fault. It's a problem at the hotel. So that's one thing to deal with from the get go. Chris, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say for the elevator, I mean, it's going to get log jammed anyway.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you the last time I used the elevator to go down to the con level anyway, because generally it's been the escalator, but half the time it's been just walk outside down the ramp to the outdoor area by the food trucks, etc., as you say.
Yeah.
So it's it'll be a minor inconvenience. It won't be the end of the world.
No, and honestly, it'll be a nice bit of fresh air. Which maybe feels like, remember this? Like, enjoy this bit of fresh air on your trip down the ramp, because you're not going to see any of it for the next few hours on the convention floor.
Surrounded by nerds.
That's one of the advantages, if there is such a thing of being a smoker, is you go outside from time to time.
Yes, that totally puts off all the other health risks.
Absolutely.
Lovely fresh air, which I will now pollute.
Yeah.
Except maybe on the Thursday in the rain, that might not be so useful.
Yeah.
Just getting an image of Roy Scheider and all that jazz in the shower with a wilted cigarette.
Wow.
As he eyes his own self-defeat.
Which has been you on occasion, Warren, as I recall. No,
I've never done that.
No, not at all. No. Also, in terms of, because of the escalator situation, registration will now be on the main floor. So you remember where Program B was? Those of you who've been to the convention before, it was sort of off behind, like, there's the bar, the restaurant, sort of like there's this weird little jut off to the right there, or the where you sort of go off, and there's a big room there. It used to be Program B, as of recently, like 3 or 4 years ago. That's going to now be where registration is. So it's not on the convention floor anymore. Registration will be on the lobby level. There will be signs as well and people directing you there. But if you're, like we are, champing at the bit to get our badge and stuff on the Thursday afternoon, it wouldn't be on the lobby, on the convention floor anymore. It's on the lobby level. So there's the two big things: registration on the lobby and escalator no longer working down. The up escalator still works. You can still get back up to the lobby that way. But
when does registration start on Thursday?
Well, yeah.
4 p.m.
Yeah. Okay. I might actually be registering before I get my room. So
that's right. You're getting in
Thursday.
You're getting 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. on the Thursday is when it starts, and then
so I might just waltz into the lobby and go right to registration.
Well, before even checking into a room, that is crazy. Yeah, you're getting there kind of late-ish. As opposed to Chris
that's
and
part of a financial responsibility.
Oh yeah, that old chestnut. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas Chris and I are getting in on the Monday, that same flight, basically.
Yeah, with your top hats and your monocles and your fat cat ways.
I know, yeah. The flight's down. Chris can attest to this. They've bounced around all over the map over the past few years. It used to be like you could set your watch. It would be like leaving at like 10 a.m. in Edmonton, and you get into LA at like 1 p.m. and you have the whole day ahead of us. Now it's like 4:20, and you get in at like 7:30. It's just like it's a waste of a day. Yeah.
By the time you get your luggage and all that stuff, it's
yeah.
It used to be better.
It did used to be better, so that's why we've had to fly in on the Monday.
That said, I'm now starting to look at airport information as far as like the flight that we're taking, like departure, arrival, like how on time it is. So, yeah.
Are you nervous?
I'm in that phase.
The obsession begins, which I will be doing too, obviously.
Well, I mean,
later.
I put aside all the microphones and stuff, because we'll be doing daily podcasts as we've been doing again over the past few years. It's always fun to cram in a whole bunch of podcasts over the course of the weekend. You might even see us. We might even be more. I suggested the chats. If we can, we might record back in the lobby, which is what we did on our first couple galleys.
Well, we've done it outside, but if the weather is crappy, then that's not something that's
true. Yeah, just like parking around a table or something like that in the lobby. Just like after all, that's how it all started. Which is, we might do that. So if you see us, don't say hi. We're in the middle of recording.
Go to hell.
Yeah. But we'll see, because there's a lot of podcast stuff. It's a very busy weekend for us. You can understand. We at the time, I think we were considering like having an official RFS meetup, because it's the 1000th weekend, and but there were no real spots.
Too much stuff to do.
There were no real spots for us, and there's too much to do. So the only way that you could sort of like say, "Hey, good job on 1,000 episodes, you obsessives."
Please don't. And I'm talking to you, Stephen. Please don't.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave us alone. Anyway, so there, registration we've covered. We've covered the weather, which is slightly iffy. But hey, the guests are pretty cool. Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Jenna Coleman, Catherine Tate, Stephen Moffat, Julie Gardner, Joel Collins. I'm reading all of this before the header on the Gallifrey One website changes. But there's a whole host of guests, of course, happening. And it all kicks off on Thursday night with the convention registration, the In-N-Out Burger Run. Never been to the In-N-Out Burger Run.
I've been to In-N-Out Burger, but I've never been to the run.
They don't have a veggie burger for me, so I don't usually.
I'd like this vegetable style, please.
Yeah,
I remember dragging you to In-N-Out at one point.
It was in Sacramento. We've had this talk. Yeah, we've.
Don't know how many. No, was it at Galley? Was it Sacramento?
It was Sacramento.
It might have been Sacramento.
We went to Sacramento for WesterCon
2013.
Yeah, 2013.
But I just remember like the only thing that like burger wise or whatever, not fries, that you could have was their grilled cheese.
I had a grilled cheese sandwich,
which was I recall you finding that rather disappointing.
It's just like what are we even doing?
Nothing in it out.
What are we even doing here? So I won't be going.
Their burgers are tasty. Their fries are trash, but their burgers are tasty.
Oh, well, that's all I had was the fries.
My favorite thing about In-N-Out Burger is a picture of Ang Lee after he won an Oscar for I can't remember which movie, but it's a picture of him late at night going through the drive-thru, just beaming from ear to ear, holding his Oscar in one hand and an In-N-Out Burger in the other hand.
Last year before, Paul Giamatti had the same thing. There were pictures of him at an In-N-Out after winning an Oscar.
Well, good for him, and both of them.
He didn't win the Oscar, though. He won a Golden Globe?
Or I don't know. It was a Golden Globe, or I don't know what the heck it was he won, but he won something and celebrated by going In-N-Out.
Excellence in the field of achievement. Yeah, let's just say that.
Yeah. I've never been to the ice cream social. Usually we're just in the lobby on Thursday nights. In my experience, that's where I've sort of like just hung out. It's a much less formal occasion for us, but for everyone else, there's the ice cream social. It's happening as well. But
I generally just go and do sightseeing, whatever, with a few friends on the Thursday, and that's still the plan this year. And depending on what we do, that always influences when we get back. So I never make plans for anything con-wise on the Thursday.
My first thing, thanks to my health concerns, is I go up to my room and I get on not yummy.com anymore, Instacart, and I get all the healthy food.
Yeah, I think we had last year we had an issue with Yummy.com with payment or something. So we did Instacart because if you're looking to like eat healthier or at least, stock up on food and not have to sort of rely on restaurants.
And I'm doing both. Yeah.
I recommend like Instacart or something and just delivering groceries to your room. They will do that. They'll just wheel in and it'll have a whole bunch of groceries. So like literally the first thing we do when we get on Monday is we'll pop in an Instacart order with a bunch of bottles of water, a couple flats of water. Usually keeps us through the whole week, and food and stuff that'll go in the fridge and all that sort of thing. Especially with the Canadian U.S. exchange rate as bad as it is. We'll be doing our best to be frugal. That might be your situation as well, everyone. So yeah, this episode of Ready for Skaro brought to you by Instacart.
Nope.
And Yummy.com.
Nope.
And Squarespace.
For some reason.
And
Casper mattresses. Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
They haven't advertised on podcasts in years, but...
I don't even know if they exist any longer.
I think they do because Canadaland, which is a pretty good set of podcasts, they still yell about Casper mattresses. So.
Oh, there we go. There it is. Anyway, that's the Thursday. That is the Thursday. The Friday begins. Normally, we would say, like the first thing on the Friday is the RFS opening show. Technically, we have the opening show. It's just later on the day, so we won't talk about it yet. But it's going to be weird. I feel like we're probably going to get up anyway to make sure that all the audio-visual requirements for our show will be working with our good friend Chip, of course, who has been our technical director at the live show since day one. So we might be panicking regardless to see if it actually works, but we won't be panicking about a show that we have to do. We'll be panicking about something that we'll be doing in 3 hours time at that point. So
is that better or worse? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Worse.
Probably worse, because knowing that we have basically like 5 minutes to switch things over and plug in a laptop to make sure that it plays all fine and stuff, and be interesting. But anyway, but I will say that 10 a.m. a live stage is as Wendy Padbury and Fraser Hines with the good friends Heather and Stacy, Heather Berber, Stacy Watnick, who were on the show last year. They were reporting in from Comic-Con. They are interviewing Patters and Fraser. I don't know what Fraser's nickname is, but so good for them on the main stage. They kick off. They are the unofficial kick. Well, they are the official kickoff, I suppose, of the main stage entertainment that's happening at 10 a.m. Since we're going to be up at 10 a.m., is there anything else at 10 a.m. that you chaps would want to go to?
Well, I love the title, Procrastination of the Daleks, because honestly, accurate.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I'm going to get to overall, but this Procrastination of the Daleks, it's got some good brains on that panel. Nev Fountain, Andy Lane, Andrew Smith, Johnny Morris.
Yeah.
A lot of writers.
Saying, why do these invasions suck so bad?
That's true.
Basically, is what it boils down to.
Yeah, that's a quality panel, actually. Moderated by our friend Andrew Smith, even. So look at that. Wow. I might pop my head into that if we're going to be freaking out already at 10 a.m. That sounds like a good idea.
Is that going to calm you down? Invasions of Earth?
Maybe. It usually does. It usually does. So.
Well, it's usually some small town in London, or not in London, in England, I mean. So yeah, that is kind of weirdly cozy invasion.
Yeah, exactly. Midsummer Murders, except aliens. Yeah.
Just moving on to the 10:45 slot, Sylvester McCoy interview by Tim Davis, which I don't know that I've ever seen Tim do on-stage interviews.
I don't know if he ever has. No.
But he's doing this one.
Tim, for those you've seen him around probably, but he's the one that sort of organizes the midnight on Saturday photo shoot downstairs that you might have been dragged into. I usually don't, because I'm in the middle of conversations and stuff. Like, I don't want to be in pictures anyway, so that's what's going to happen.
Years past, you've been in the middle of like Cornell Collective or
that too.
Just a minute or something like that, doing timekeeping or some such.
Oh, the good old days. Yeah. Paul Cornell won't be there this year, so there won't be any Cornell Collective for me to drunkenly stumble into or be a part of. So maybe I'll find a way to get into those the late night photo. Anyway, Sylvester McCoy is going to be there, and Tim Davis will be interviewing him. That's as you say, as at 10:45, because there's a few 45-minute panels on the main stage at that point of the day. Anything at 11 a.m. you want to talk about? There's a couple panels there with people on them.
Other Roads Taken is interesting, but Chris, you go ahead.
I was going to say the Other Roads Taken about spin-off stuff, basically.
Non-TV.
I had a couple friends on the panel, Stephen Lacey, Stacey Smith, who know their stuff when it comes to that.
I'm sure everybody else does
topic.
too, yeah.
Well, I'm sure they do as well. Otherwise, why would they volunteer?
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, that one seems interesting. Death and the Doctor, about regeneration and things like that. Yeah, that might be interesting as well.
By the way, we should say that this is all at Gallifrey One 2025.shed.com. This is where the shed has been at for the past few years now, which is very handy.
Or SCHED, SCHED.
I suppose.
Don't say
it's pronounced GIF,
schedule.
all right? It's GIF.
Yeah. That's
damn
true.
right, it's GIF.
Yeah, it's GIF. I remember Alex Trebek on Jeopardy several years ago, obviously. He said, actually, we would say it's schedule now, and that's where I first perked up. If Alex Trebek is going to say schedule, I'm going to say schedule.
That's
damn
fair.
It.
That's one of those tomato things that, I mean, it's not wrong to say one or the other. It's just,
that's true.
And that's a boot.
Yeah, schedule is the British / Canadian way. Schedule is the American way. So you know what?
Yeah,
it's schedule.
Yeah, exactly. All right, fine.
Exactly. That's our quiet protest
Resist.
right there.
Hashtag resist.
Yeah. Back on the main stage, 11:30. Our good friends Kim and Sage from Head Over Fields are interviewing Michelle Greenidge and Susan Twist. Michelle Greenidge, of course, played Ruby Sunday's adopted mom, and Susan Twist, of course, played everyone in season 1. So I wonder if they'll try to work in this or that with them, just to because of course Kim and Sage were famous for doing that up until a couple years ago. Yeah, be kind of fun.
And they don't have a formal this or that this year,
so they can do it. It's up to them. It's always fun. So I love their energy on stage. So I will be checking that out because I feel like I'm just going to be on the con floor for basically all the way leading up to 1 o'clock when we finally get on stage. But yeah. Any other things at noon is when the discussion panels change over again. There's one about Doctor Who crossover with the House of Mouse.
I like the Me I'm Allowed Everywhere, the second Doctor era. Because there's some good people on it, Andrew Smith for one, but also just there seems to be a continued reevaluation of the second Doctor era. Maybe in my head, but it just seems like people are liking it more and more.
Yeah,
people are talking more and more about Frederick Douglass and Patrick Troughton.
That's true. Yeah.
Things like the War Games being colorized and put on TV for the first time, whatever stuff. I'm sure things like that don't hurt us either. So
yeah, and in the past 10 years, episodes being found and or reanimated and stuff. Yeah, there seems to be like it's exists. I mean, has Frederick Douglass had missing episodes found of his too, or is that?
Well, I don't think the concept of episodes actually, other than in novel form, existed back then. So
okay, well, get on that. Anyway, throughout the day, of course, we should say all weekend there are photo studio sessions and autographs in the dealer's room and stuff. Dealer's room opens when? 10 a.m., 11 a.m.? I don't remember when the dealer's room opens.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Ironically, I can actually go to it, but I shouldn't be spending money at it. Okay.
That's true. I mean, Bookshelf Doctors has been on hitus anywhere for the past while, so I don't know if you're looking for...
semi-unemployed, so maybe I should be starting it up again.
Honestly, yeah.
Just bank a bunch of stuff, yeah. And dealer's room, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. for that.
It's possible there's nothing in the dealer's room that you're going to really, really, really want, Warren. Like
that's
stuff that you can look at and say, yeah, I can live without that.
Right.
That's what I've done on several years. So, and there's also years I've spent a bunch of money. I still treasure. I got it for $50. I got this giant, in color Dave Gibbons, all his Doctor Who stuff, and I've already got those comics kicking around somewhere. But it's a beautiful giant hardcover, and it was 50 is a steal for that.
Yeah.
When the Star Beast came out, I just went right to it in that book.
I'm kind of hoping that maybe they have the 15th Doctor / Ruby Sunday action dollars because I don't have those yet, and
I'm just looking at them right now.
Yeah, I get.
I'm dumb and spent money.
You spent way too much money for those.
When I was employed,
yeah,
I just gave you at that,
and I hope to maybe buy that at the dealer's room, but we'll see about that. Don't know.
Also at 12 o'clock, I'm not going to get into the specifics necessarily, but the first of the Cafe Clutches begins. Cafe Clutches, for the uninitiated, are little, I'm assuming it's still capped at 12 people. Things are basically around a conference table with whomever as the guest and just talking about whatever.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes they're on topic based on what the guest does or what their role is. Sometimes they just go who knows where. And that's all fine.
Yeah. How do those signups work, Chris? Do you remember how those work? You've been to some.
Yeah, they were done online last weekend. We didn't. I don't think we talked about it because by the time because they happened after we recorded last week,
right?
But they closed before the episode came out. So there's a 12 people maximum. So you do an initial sign up online, and then if there are more than 12 people, then there's a random selection of who gets picked. And for any sessions that don't fill up through the online registration, there's going to be like a paper form in front of the Coffee Clutch room, which is right by the not con ops, guest services.
Yeah,
I guess.
Right on the corner. You'll see the big photo backdrop. I think is where it is.
Yeah, right near the elevator.
Yeah, and
the Coffee Clutch room is just before the very last hallway. With programs CDE.
Yeah.
But for the many years, Ed Comstock was kind of like the guy who looked after the Coffee Clutch stuff, and his wife Jennifer, and of course Ed passed last year.
He did.
So I'm not sure if Jennifer is doing it or not. I haven't looked, but Ed's absence is definitely going to be felt.
Definitely. That's very sad. Yeah. Anyway, Coffee Clutches. I didn't sign up for any. I have ambushed people on the way out of them for interviews.
Oh yes, yes.
I think I recorded one with Dick Video a few years ago. Immediately after he was done his Coffee Clutch.
It was on the Sunday at like 5 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
After the last Coffee Clutch. Altogether.
Yeah, he's going to be there too, doing another one. So,
doing a Coffee Clutch about the BFI.
Doing a Coffee, exactly, about the work they're doing in restoring and discovering missing episodes and stuff like that. So, which I said, get on it. We need some more. I haven't had any since 2013. Anyway, back to the main stage. 12:15. What could be considering our opening act or our lead-in. It's a hell of a panel. Gary Russell talks to Joel Collins, executive producer, of course, of Doctor Who. That's at 12:15 until 1 p.m. Hopefully 12:55 because we need to switch over. Gary Russell, if you're listening, he's not, but that's going to be quite fascinating. So we'll definitely be there for that. I will definitely be there for that, if only just for the interview, but also because we'll be, getting ready to do our own show at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, you may not pay attention to the last half of it, but
be a little freaked out a little bit.
Yeah, I think all three of us will be a little freaked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 1 o'clock, the big one, Katie Manning interview with Heather and Stacey again.
Yeah, their second panel of the day. It's over on Program B, is where they're going to be. There's also, there's a cosplayers meet up for Torchwood and autographs and stuff, but and a Coffee Clutch with Annette Fountain and Andy Lane. But let's face it, kids, and this isn't just us tooting our own. I don't think people would turn up just because it was our 1000th episode of Radio Free Skaro.
Absolutely not.
I don't think they'd turn up because, hey, it's the official opening, even though it technically started 3 hours earlier, this convention on the Friday. I think
they'll show up because people sit in the main program hall and camp out, sit there all day watching all the goodness.
That too, and let's face it, Radio Free Skaro, Episode 1000, Mystery Science Theater 1000. The guests are Julie Gardner and Stephen Moffat. This is Julie Gardner's first ever Doctor Who convention, her first ever panel at a Doctor Who convention. Stephen Moffat, of course, has been to several conventions, but it's also Stephen Moffat, and they are our guests on the show for the entire hour, and that alone right there will probably mean a pretty full house is what I'm expecting. So you may want to get into your seats earlier in the day for that, because it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing. Once again, we said this every week since we've talked about it. I cannot believe the sheer coincidence that the numbering worked out this way, that this is our 1000th episode.
It's bizarre.
It's staggering, but it's happening.
I can tell you one person who won't be there.
Who won't be there? Who won't be there?
my better half, because she's on an opposing panel.
She is. Gods and Legends over
Gods
on
and Legends, talking about mythology in Doctor Who
on Program C.
With, I mean, some bright people like Lisa McMullen and John Dorney.
Yeah. It's a cool looking panel. I'm just gonna be busy, so
we'll otherwise be occupied, alas.
It will be occupied. Yeah, it's I mean, we'll talk about how Bad Wolf came to make Doctor Who. Stephen Moffat came back. The state of the industry really is kind of something I want to get into, just because it's crazy out there right now in the streaming biz and just like TV in general and everything. And so, all these things and more.
And why is RTD lamenting over an empty Bad Wolf set of studios?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get that answer.
I don't know if we'll get that. But yeah, so there's going to be lots of stuff covered, and like I said, for the full hour. So it's just those two. There's no other segments on the show. So it's quite a thing. It's quite a thing. It's tough to be a Canadian and be proud, but honestly, I'm proud. I'm proud of the fact that we've made it to 1,000 episodes, and that this is the episode that we get to present to you. It's going to be recorded, obviously. It won't. Let me tell you, because of the craziness of that schedule, it's going to come out on Saturday. It probably won't even come out early for Patreon supporters, because there will be no way for me
to
get to it until Saturday morning. So, but it's our episode. It'll come out on the Saturday, so you can all listen to it. So. Including Kat. Kat will be able to listen to it as well.
It'll definitely be after the fact.
Yeah.
And so at the risk of tooting our own horn even longer.
Go for it.
Right after that, 2 o'clock, Warren's, what's happening at 2 o'clock for you?
I'm interviewing everybody's favorite Davros, David Gooderson from Destiny of the Daleks, and he's done a pile of other stuff, which I'm obviously doing a bunch of research about, but that's a half-hour interview. I have to rush right from our thing to that, so there's no resting on laurels for me.
No, you're gonna take the secret back entrance, I believe. You've been guided to. They'll give you a police escort, which is basically just
they will not give me a police escort.
A hotel employee,
except to keep me from things.
Yeah, exactly. holding up a sign or something like that to get over to that.
A taser at my back. Get over there, come on.
Yeah. But yeah, cool. David Gooderson, though. I mean, listen, he was my first Davros, because I saw Destiny of the Daleks first before any of the other ones. So I think it's cool. So well done.
I'm not saying it isn't. It'll be interesting. And he's done a pile of stuff. He's done a lot. He's written a lot of plays, both plays, and plays for youth. So that's kind of interesting. I'm going to talk to him about that.
Oh, awesome. Well, I don't listen, Warren. No promises. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to get to it, because I have things to run off to as well. Okay.
Yeah, and you'll probably be very, very tired from the. So as will I.
Coming down from that
previous intensive hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Opposite that, as well as a Big Finish panel about their Gallifrey series with Jason A. Ellery and Scott Hancock, Louise Jameson, Gary Russell, Miles Richardson, Sean Carlson. That would also be interesting for those who
that caught
do
my
the big
eye,
finishes.
Yeah,
none for me.
We have to clear the stage for them. Basically, is how that's going to work.
Yeah.
Because
people will be sitting through our schlock just to watch that.
Gary Russell will be yelling at us from backstage.
What about Big Finish?
Off the stage.
Gary's just not even going to leave the stage. He'll just be there for his 12:15, and then he'll be there for the 2 o'clock, and he'll just sit on stage with us for
quietly taking notes.
He's going to sit. He's actually going to my water. He's going to just give me water bottles. Like, Gary, we got that bottle.
He's going to sit next to Stephen Moffat, and then at some point just whisper stuff in his ear that we won't have any idea about.
Yeah.
just like some informal advisor. They're like, something sinister is going on here.
Oh yeah, that's the second plane has hit the tower or something like that. And just Stephen Moffat's here.
I wasn't as sinister as I was willing to go, but okay.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, I know.
On a happier note,
Chris, now you have to say an off-color thing at some point.
No.
I know you can do it.
Yeah.
On a happier note, 2:30. What's happening at 2:30, Stephen?
Well, it's TARDIS Talks. TARDIS Talks is the annual academic symposium that Paul Booth and Joy Peabody put on for the past few years now. I don't know how many years it's been.
At least 3 or 4.
Yeah, last year I think I finally poked my head in for about 4 minutes before having to rush off to do something else, because I've never been able to actually properly just sort of sit down and enjoy that. And on an occasion, Joy and Paul have asked me to, should submit something to be in there. And I said, I don't know if I have the time or even know what to talk about. So then they says, okay, what if we gave you the keynote address? And this is fine. I'll do it. So I am kicking off TARDIS Talks with a keynote called "We All Make Doctor Who." sort of based on the theme of how Doctor Who is sort of affecting our careers as such, negatively, obviously, would be the answer to that, but find out why and more. When I kick off TARDIS Talks with some very intelligent people coming after me, so it can only go up from there. I am basically the warm-up act.
You are much more intelligent monkey people. To start the process.
I am literally the comic who warms up the studio audience so that they'll laugh at the funny things. That is my job at TARDIS Talks this year. So that's
here's your off-color remark, Warren. Stephen, you're the fluffer.
Oh, okay. That was mind. Okay. We got those out of the way. Let's moving right along.
Anyway, that's
you survive.
That's at Program B. Program B. So I have to. Is that where you are? You're at Program B, aren't you, Warren? Basically following you.
So yes.
Okay, you're my warm-up act in that regard.
Oh, great, wonderful. So I don't know what kind of comedian that makes me.
Well, leave them laughing. That's all I ask you, because mine's going to get pretty morose. It's not really.
And blue.
Kind of blue for a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, 2:30.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then after that goes from, that's 90 minutes. The full TARDIS Talks thing is 90 minutes. My thing is 90 minutes, hopefully. But hey, 3 Cats back on stage, Chris. What's Cats doing there?
Torchwood Files. So, talking about Torchwood.
Talking about that old chestnut.
I don't know where that conversation is going to necessarily go, but
somewhere filthy. It's Torchwood.
That's true.
Obviously, Big Finish is still doing monthly Torchwood releases, so maybe they'll talk about that, or I don't know.
Or the TV show, or the are they gonna
they're only gonna talk about the motion comic that came out with
oh my god
wow.
Miracle Day.
Now that is pulling.
I was gonna say
was it Miracle Day or was it?
Oh, what was that now?
No, you would think it would be, because motion comics are kind of an American thing, and so was Miracle Day. So.
Boy, it rings.
But I'm just guessing.
I'm not looking it up at all.
No, he's totally looking up. I think the panel is purely going to
Miracle Day.
It was okay. I think the panel is purely going to focus on the HD nature, because of course Torchwood went into HD before Doctor Who did. And
yes, that very special mid-2000s HD.
And when you look at it, the filmizing isn't quite right for it, so it just looks like sort of like high-priced videotape, which is honestly part of its charm.
The HD in Torchwood it's like the practice girlfriend, the one that doesn't count before the main event.
Okay, that's not. But that is very Torchwood, and you are on point.
That's actually that tracks. Actually,
and then just to put it out there as well, for her third panel of the day, Heather Burbard is doing another one at 3:00 called Crossing the Streams, about streaming stuff and the morass that has become of that.
That's actually
the difficulty of finding stuff.
Yeah. Basically. That's actually a pretty interesting panel that Heather's moderating there.
Could
because let's face it, there's a whole bunch.
Good as knows, we've all felt the frustration of I want to watch something. Where do I find it? Is it in my country?
Right.
It's on Service X, but not in regions. Whatever.
The Just Watch feeling when you turn on Just Watch and you're like, oh, okay, I can't get it anywhere. Well, there's my VPN.
Yeah. Or you just say, there's others.
That too. That's mostly what happens.
Usually it's the
Yeah.
It's like, I'll watch something else.
Yeah.
Also, making his first stage appearance for the day, or for the weekend rather, Colin Baker is on stage with Ken Deep and Nicola Bryant, Lisa Greenwood as well. But it's the main stage event for the 3:00 hour.
That's true. I'm glad to see Lisa Greenwood. I know Lisa Greenwood had long COVID there in the early days of 2020, so I'm glad she's recovered enough now that she attends conventions. So good for Lisa. Good for Ken too. Talking the old 40-year anniversary of season 22.
Also,
as of right now.
One of the best, I've said this before, but one of the best Twitter names, Sawbones Hex. That's a great name.
That is always a great name, yeah. Because Sawbones means old name for doctor. If only Alex Kurtzman learned that when he wrote the first Star Trek film.
That's true. You know where I learned that word?
Oh, where's that?
From the novelization of The Smugglers.
Oh, yeah. Who wrote that?
I think I learned it because of Dr. McCoy, actually. That's where I figured it out.
Yeah. Did Terrence Dicks write the Smugglers? I want to say probably did at that time.
It's a safe bet.
It's one of the later Target novelizations. Maybe it's Nigel Robinson. Chris is looking.
Nigel Robinson might be. No, Terrence Dicks.
It was Terrence Dicks. Okay.
As I look it up, Terrence Dicks is what it says.
All right. Well, there we go. Terrence Dicks taught you the word. Sawbones Hex. Obviously, Alex Kurtzman did not read The Smugglers either.
What has Alex Kurtzman got to do with Gallifrey One? Absolutely nothing.
Well,
are you going to slag him off? Yes.
Well, there's a panel later on which we'll talk about, but not before I mentioned there's a panel that's hosted by Jason Hagelery. Welcome to the family, including our first-time guests. All the people who are attending, well, not all the people, but some of the people who are attending their first ever Gallifrey One, mostly from the Big Finish universe, are probably panel B. But hey, if you want to come and watch a live commentary, you got it. It's on the main stage at 4 p.m. It's Boom. It's me with Stephen Moffat, if he hasn't demanded not to be on a panel with me after our live show. And the director, Julianne Robinson, will be talking over Boom. So that will be fun. I love doing live commentaries. They are my favorite thing to do at Gallifrey One. So come and check it out.
Really embraced that in the last few years.
I have. Sean's been nice. Sean Lyon's been nice enough to give them to me. So I've done I don't remember how many I've done now. I know I did one for Kerblam. With Pete McTighe, and
you did something other than that in the Jodie Whittaker era, but I can't remember what it is.
Oh, let me think here. I did Kerblam. I did An Adventure in Space and Time with Matt Strevens and Sacha Dhawan. I think I did two that weekend.
With Rachel Talalay, I think.
And then I did Power of the Doctor, of course, with Chris Chibnall, Janet Fielding, Sophie Aldred, Jamie Magnus Stone, Daft Schirmer, and then last year was Star Beast with Rachel Talalay and Jacqueline King, which was last year, which is a lot of fun. So now it's Boom.
And you just mentioned Sean. Let's just give Sean a shout out right now for this whole thing that we're reading through and everything we're going to be enjoying in a week's time.
Like basically creating the convention that's changed our entire lives. Yeah, that's hat tip for that
little thing. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no big thing that Sean Lyon has done for our lives, and indeed probably the lives of many other people by creating this silly convention.
You two are married because of this, so yeah.
Well, we got married at the damn convention. Listen, we got married on the Thursday before the convention in 2013, which just happened to be Valentine's Day. So our anniversary will be spent with Erica watching me on stage with Stephen Moffat and Julie Gardner in episode 1000 of Freddie Free Skaro.
And there are worse ways to spend an anniversary.
Right?
To be fair, you loved Stephen Moffat before you loved Erica. So,
and possibly more.
Secret shame.
She's got no leg to stand on.
That's true. She knows her place.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the Shapansky pecking order.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
She's on there, but isn't necessarily up at the top.
And we share a first name, so the same first name, so it's kind of nice.
It's Kismet.
Yeah, isn't it?
But not Kismet Delgado.
I was gonna wait for that. So anyway, that's at 4 till 5. 5 o'clock. The first of two Catherine Tate solo panels happens. She's a force of nature, so that is something to tune into.
Catherine Tate, the only guest without a moderator slash
doesn't need one
prompter slash whatever.
No, although I think I'm introducing her. I think it's been charged to me to give her an introduction. So I'm going to be the carnival barker that I am, and give her a big whoop whoop. I'll be the leader.
You're there anyway. So.
I'm there anyway. I got a mic. I might as well say something, I guess.
Are you a Carnival Monsters barker or a Terror of the Autons barker?
Oh, I like to think of the
Carnival.
A Great Show in the Galaxy barker.
Great. Oh, Rico Ross was at Gallifrey One a few years ago.
No, he couldn't go because I was going to interview him and I can't remember her name, but the woman who played Newt, who was great. I did interview her.
Oh, yeah.
But he was going to be on the panel as well. He's got one of my favorite lines in Aliens, which is a great movie with great lines. Man, what was supposed to use? Harsh language?
That's right. I forgot about that. Oh, I forgot about that. He was going to be there, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's too bad because, he was, I mean, I don't know what the guy's like in person, but I was looking forward to talk to him.
Yeah. This is a good time to mention that there's a whole an actual science track that happens throughout Gallifrey One, usually Program D, that our friend Dr. Anita Sengupta is going to be on the green hydrogen panel at 5 p.m. talking about green hydrogen and stuff. She's been on the show in the past, so that's why we can say she's a good friend. So that whole thing, actual science, is talked about at the science fiction convention. Yeah.
Really, really smart.
Terrifyingly smart.
Yeah.
Terrifyingly intelligent.
Yeah. We brought her on to talk about, I don't know, some Jodie Whittaker episode, I think, just so we could be on an even keel. Don't make us look stupid with
your brainwaves.
Yeah, with your knowledge of science and flying, because she's a pilot as well.
Yeah.
A polymath is what she is.
Yeah, one of those people. Make us
like the American Brian Cox sort of thing.
Yeah, a little bit, actually. I don't think Brian Cox can fly a plane, though, so...
I honestly don't know.
I don't either. 6 o'clock, there's a Doctor Who deathmatch battle for the TARDIS, where I'll say this, it's a moot point because Warren's A, busy, and B, the theme this year is they're debating the best console room.
I mean, there's no question. It's contest over.
Obviously, Warren's going to say secondary control room from
Five Doctors
from season 14.
Oh, that's a good one. It's not the best one.
That's a good one. But anyway, that's happening. But fan video happy hour is happening.
Yes, sirree, Bob.
In program B from 6 to 7:30.
Yes.
Warren's got at least one. You got one video in there, right, Warren?
Well, just one video that I know of. Yeah, probably just one.
Right.
But it's a few people have seen it and they very much enjoyed it. So please come and enjoy it. And yes. And all the other videos that are very good too. Yeah,
I've been told that one has been specifically targeted for me. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that means.
I do.
So
I'm not telling you.
You're not telling me. But I have to be there at least at a certain time. Like 7 p.m. or something like that, I've been told, which is good because I'm gonna listen. After the day that I've had, I'm gonna have to use one of those food trucks out on the near the convention floor to have some sustenance by that point. So I will things.
Fellow diabetics, that's basically what I'm doing. Is I'm making sure I eat healthy food all the way up to dinner, and then I'm just gonna go to a food truck so I can avoid the bar. Essentially,
how as a practicing diabetic, Warren, how
yes, I just give it up if I wanted to.
How are those food trucks for you? Out of curiosity.
Well, there's a Lebanese food one, and that's usually better, healthier food. And there's a taco truck, and tacos aren't insanely healthy, but there's always a healthier option there. So.
Right. Okay. And there's a burger truck for the Friday and the Saturday, I believe. So there's a whole rundown on the Gallifrey One website, which will show it. But
they'll be a lifesaver for me, is what I'm saying, because there's a healthy option there somewhere.
Right. Okay, that's good. Well, I'm going to try and get a healthy option and then be in the fan video happy hour room in time to watch the video that is directly targeted towards me. I don't know what that means. Is it a fan video production codes or old British telly or hockey or what? It's just going to be, maybe it's just a fan video, a 3-minute video of just various guest actors in Z cars, and it's up to me to point out which Doctor Who episodes they were in.
I would love if that was the case. I can pretty much assure you there's no Z. I don't know that for a fact. I haven't seen the playlist. Maybe there is a Z Cars fan video. I doubt it.
It's going to be Sarah McLachlan's Arms of the Angel over top of hidden cam footage of you in the shower.
No, thank you. I don't need to see that.
That's disturbing. Why we're talking about Z Cars. We were talking about Z Cars. Why'd you have to make this rude, Chris? Come on.
Only slightly less disturbing. Z Cars.
I'm ticking the box. I
watched. You don't have to anymore.
On Z Cars since I started it. I watched the odd episodes. So the last couple of years I've become obsessed with Z Cars. By the way, I will be submitting a panel next year for Gallifrey One.
Oh God.
But
where's your Quiller panel?
The last two. I've yet to watch them all. The last 2 or 3 seasons.
Where's your Sandbaggers panel?
The last 2 or 3 years were all shot on Obi Video. I feel like the BBC says, we're not even giving you studio space for this thing anymore. And it was all shot on Obi Video and on location, which is of course fascinating to me. And I was watching one episode. It's like, who is this gruff dock worker? He looks familiar. He sounds familiar, but the video quality on YouTube isn't the best. And I had to skip ahead to the end credits. It was Morgan Shepherd, for crying out loud, on Z Cars. I know, because he's in his natural British accent,
He must have been 20 or something.
Well, if he was 20, the mileage was not kind to him even in 1976. So it's that's true. So
speaking of sandbaggers, I was watching All the President's Men just for the hell of it a couple nights ago. I bought it for like $10 off iTunes, and I made a point of taking a picture of the two of the McDonald's and in all caps sent to Stephen. Look at these proper sandbaggers.
All the best stuff happens in McDonald's in the 1970s.
1970s McDonald's specifically
1970s McDonald's. Anyway, fan video happy hour, always a good time. From what I'm told, I never get to make it there, but I will this time around for at least a few minutes. You
prepare yourself. There is a lot. The whole point of fan video happy hour is hooting and or hollering. So there'll be a lot of that.
Okay, it's like going to a screening of Wicked, except it's something that you want to watch, right?
No, it's
Warren?
fun. Yeah, exactly. I will actually be at it enjoying myself.
Exactly.
As opposed to contemplating violence, which I would at a Wicked sing-along.
Yeah.
As long as the hooting and hollering doesn't, drown out the audio of what you're watching.
That's true. Well, it's usually set to music, so so you can kind of figure it out as you're going.
Yeah. And then the evening stuff happens there. There's the confession dial, which is back, where people confess things that they hate about Doctor Who. I don't know if I want to go in for that, because I love everything about Doctor Who. And there's the Friday night karaoke. I will not be attending that. My voice is still recovering from the awfulness. And then it's the Valentine's Day dance party. So and that basically wraps up the Friday night.
So I'm just going to throw a thing out there for the Idiot's Lantern at 8 o'clock. Because they always do something. Usually on the Saturday. I think it's been moved to the Friday this year or something like that. But that's always a good time as well. Full of people we know. And, featuring the return of Jesse Merlin, who was absent last year for work-related reasons. And he's thankfully back this year.
A fine cat.
Yeah, fine cat indeed. That was the Friday. Saturday. So here, Saturday's the big day. We spent like almost an hour talking about the Friday, but the Saturday is actually the big full day of the convention. It starts at 10 a.m. Jenna Coleman, who's going to be at Gallifrey One, by the way, she arrives on the Saturday, and there's like photo studio sessions for her on the green screen. So this is her first Gallifrey One. I suspect there might be a few people getting their photos taken with Jenna Coleman.
You would think.
I dare say.
Yeah.
I dare say.
It's probably going to happen.
12 o'clock is what, or 10 o'clock when the day starts. Stephen Moffat's Coffee Clutch, which was the, well, 12 o'clock is probably my start time. Yeah. Anyway, Stephen Moffat Coffee Clutch was the far and away the most desirous of all the coffee clutches. Unsurprisingly.
Yeah, I was going to say
instantly filled. I
saw that. I was thinking 12 people. Oh man, that must have been lapped. That I bet you tickets for that went quicker than hotel rooms.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then those
you could see the cloud with the words made out of it from the Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah,
people registering that.
Oh, exactly.
I'm sure the randomizer that Sean used to pick the names for the attendees got a workout.
Yeah. 10 a.m. Yeah, go ahead.
7 fan meetup.
Oh, wow. That's kind of cool. The Blu-ray came out. We're fans now, right? You finally watched the show for the first time ever. Both of you did. Well, Chris is working.
No, I've watched it.
I'm getting it.
I've seen it. I've watched it before.
And I've seen the first season.
It's a running joke.
I know. Which we neither of us like, so don't do it.
But
that's why it's a running joke.
Most importantly, at 10 o'clock is the Star Trek panel.
Can I read this out? Because this looks like it's really kind of our jam here.
Please do.
Popular Star Trek shows are axed like Lower Decks and Prodigy. New shows are booked with less than excited response. Academy instead of Legacy? Really? ? And older concepts become one-shot films. Section 31. What exactly is going on over there with the Trek powers that be? And where do we think we'll be in 5 years? We'll discuss. Now, on the one hand, I would like to see a new Trek bashing of some sort. And people who like new Trek, I'm happy you like it. It's not for me. It's there's some of it I don't mind, but some of it ain't so great. But also there's a lot of writer, director, creative types on this. So just how hard are they going to go is what I want to know.
I know. I don't know. The moderator is James Kerwin, who's a writer-director. And I'm wondering, has James got an axe to grind? Has James been turned down from Star Trek a few times or something like that? It says, that's it.
Conversely, do you want to get hired? And this is a way,
listen,
whatever.
If not, well, I don't know, because I'm going to be that annoying person who's going to sit in the front row of a panel and just assume I'm an extra panelist and just talk directly to all the people about why it's.
You're going to buy a pair of glasses to wear just to push them up.
Just to put. By the way, do not be that person in the front row of a panel. I just think you're carrying on a conversation with panelists. It's rude and awful. Please don't do that.
That's Steven's job at the Star Trek panel specifically.
Yeah, at the Star Trek panel, I will be doing that. I'll be getting up super early for that to make sure I have that front row seat so that I can point out.
Dressed in like a Wrath of Khan uniform.
Yeah, just not like what's his name? Like one of Khan's crew too. Not even the dress uniform.
No, I'm talking about the red ones, and you could have it open with a little bit of like I don't know, a burrito or something.
Maybe Steven should rock Ricardo Montalban's outfit.
Oh,
do you have the pecs? Do you have the abs?
Do not
including
have the pecs.
including the wig.
I might do push-ups in the Marriott gym for 3 or 4 days to make sure I have some pecs to
What are you doing in there? I'm conning. That's what I'm doing.
Exactly. Conning for the con. That's at 10 a.m. I knew that was coming. I forgot that it was at 10 a.m. on the Saturday. That might get me up. The big finish panel is happening. The 2025 preview for Doctor Who and Van PD is happening on the main stage. That's the big event. I bet you will get press releases, embargo press releases from Steve Barry all this week leading up to that, because they're all going to come out basically and be announced at that panel. So big finish fans, that is where it's all happening. There's like a billion people on that panel talking about various things that are happening. So
some big names.
Big names.
12 names, if I'm counting correctly.
You are counting correctly, I believe. But yeah, a lot of people on that one. So that is the big finish panel for the weekend. So tune out for that. 11 a.m. What happens at 11 a.m.? I'm still talking about that Star Trek panel. What else? What's
the Idiot's Lantern postmortem? So if you go to Idiot's Lantern and you want to, have a chat with the people, offer feedback, whatever, that's your chance. 11 a.m.
Is it formatted as a trial? So they get put on, they get cross-examined.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. Like
you'd have to ask the Brad Hansons or Athena Stamases or the Bob Mitches of the world to find out.
It's basically, I think they just reenact an episode of Crown Court from 1976. I think is how it usually works. Yeah.
Because everybody has a fevered brew of old British TV in their heads, just like you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe they do. Anyway, there's a panel about music in Doctor Who, which means Jess Jerkovic is going to be at Gallifrey One, which is great. I was wondering if he's going to be there, and he is.
I look forward to seeing him again.
I do too. I like Jess. He's been on this podcast a couple times at least. So that one's all about music. 11 a.m.
Yeah, with people who actually know about music,
right?
Other panels don't have people who know about.
That's true.
Whatever. But
this one specifically does. Yes.
Yeah, it's about music.
Yeah. And then there's, I don't know if Erica has seen this one, but at the same time, Past Perfect: The Fan Days of Yesteryear, talking about like the decades ago of fandom, 70s, 80s, things like that. So I don't know if that's going to talk about like Chicago Visions or whatever.
Like she went there.
we could go there and deliver a whole segment on freaking
the Edmonton Club,
PBS Doctor Who broadcasts or whatever. But for those of us who gobble up nostalgia because we're at that age, that might be really.
I'm almost
fun.
Afraid of the nostalgia at this point. So.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be too nostalgic about it because everyone's experience in Doctor Who is different, and mine involved like coming up to Edmonton on a bus and going to Warp 1 and just finding stuff whatever I could afford and carry back essentially, and that's how I learned about Doctor Who essentially, the history of whatever Doctor Who magazine happened to be on sale at that time. Thinking, well, I guess this is it. Let's see what I can glean from this. Like it was an expedition.
Unlike
Warren and I, who just had a celebration or key to time and just learned from.
Which I got at Charing Cross Books, which was my main not my only, but my main source of Doctor Who contraband.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Oh. That's going back. That is definitely going back.
Well, pop into that panel and be that first person in the first row and just casually talk back and forth with the panelists about what things only affect you, and they will love you for it, Warren.
I'm sure they won't.
Chris, what's happening at 11:30?
Just to keep things moving along, 11:30. I'm told I'm allowed to go to this.
Really?
So I might have to.
Oh, wow.
But Kat is interviewing Mark Shepard on the main stage.
Listen.
That's a bucket list for her, I'm assuming,
Has this happened before? This has never happened, right?
So, number one, Mark Shepard quite often, certainly at Galley as well, will do his thing like Catherine Tate is doing this year without somebody there, an interviewer, moderator, whatever term we want to use.
One person show.
So when the call for interviewers went out and Mark Shepard's name was on there, Kat was surprised because Shepard often just does things on his own because he's got more than enough experience especially with the supernatural stuff. That she was surprised to see his name as somebody who they wanted an interviewer for. And she was not going to put her name in the hat until I convinced her otherwise. And she got it. She got selected. Sean knows how to scratch that itch. That's a really weird thing to say. But yeah, no. So 11:30 on the main stage, she's interviewing Mark Sheppard, and Mark is like, I've had side conversations with him in the past and whatever, and he is a very fun and interesting person. He is a little acerbic at times,
a little bit,
aren't we all?
Yeah.
So yeah, she's looking forward to that one. I this might be saying too much about her and her ways, but she, over the years, at times there have been different actors where she's basically built a spreadsheet of all the stuff they've done.
Yeah,
Verity listeners know about that.
Yeah,
so
Kat's been saying this on Verity. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Anyway, so Mark Sheppard was one of those spreadsheet subjects. So I forget how many years ago his was, but she watched everything she could for his body of work, and then
that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work because he does a lot of guest stuff, and even his guest stuff quite often is quasi-regular, like, I don't know, Doom Patrol, for example.
Right.
Let alone Supernatural, where he was there for years and years and years. So yeah, that's going to be a bucket list item, as you say. So
I have a question. Was Mark Sheppard on set when they were filming that episode of Zed Cars in 1976? Was he alive at that point? He probably was. He's older than us. Would that count as something that would be on Kat's spreadsheet now, or is that?
He's born in 1964.
12 years old, fully on set for that. I got to go see Dad work on Zed Cars.
Was that 1976?
Yeah, that episode
I knew
was
Zed Cars getting here somewhere.
Yeah, so
see, I was thinking of Zed Cars as,
I'll send a link. Yeah,
I was thinking of Zed Cars as like this because it's always compared with like black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or it's spoken in the same sentence as black and white Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So I always think of it as a 60s show. So I don't know if I realized it was there in the mid 70s.
Well, let me tell you, I could do. Listen, come to my panel next year, all about Zed Cars, and I'll explain everything there. I won't bore you.
Only two people there, but go ahead.
I know. I'll do it. It'll be a Program E thing. It'll be a meetup. It won't even be a panel. It'll just be a meetup. Me talking about what I've learned about Zed Cars for the past year and how many Doctor Who actors have been in it.
For whatever it's worth, my first exposure to Mark Sheppard, I think, was Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I think.
Right. So not in Zed Cars then. That's what you're saying.
Not in Zed Cars.
Stop with your Zed Cars agenda.
Right. Maybe they needed a kid actor to be in Zed Cars, you know? Someone who discovered a body or something like that. Hey, my son, I was in Zed Cars, and get him in there. All right. Welcome to acting, Mark Sheppard. You're in Zed Cars.
Yeah. So anyway...
Zed Cars from Script to Screen is happening on. No, wait.
Yeah,
it's a 30-minute panel on the main stage.
30 minutes from Mark Sheppard.
Yeah. This is a cool panel. Our friend Adrian Endeley is hosting From Script to Screen, Making Modern Drama with Joe Collins, Scott Hancock, Kate Herron, Brian E. Redmond, of course, those two wrote Rogue, Stephen Moffat, Blair Mowat, Julianne Robinson, Gary Russell. What a panel. That is basically a mini-scope as a panel.
Kate Herron show ran Loki, at least first season. I don't know if she did second
season 2?
Yeah, 1 or 2. I can't remember which.
I think it was the first season.
Yeah, because
one or the other.
I think it was first because that's why she was basically headhunted to be on Doctor Who. Because it was that's right, because RTD was like complaining about like representation or something in Loki. No, he wasn't complaining. He was responding to public declarations of bad representation in Loki, and that's how they came into contact with Kate Herron. And it says, how about we write for Doctor Who? Let's do it. And so that's
and the first season had a real Who vibe to it too. So
from what I'm told, I never watched it, but yeah,
it's one of the better Marvel series.
Yeah.
Is there a Disney Plus for you there, Stephen?
What? Oh, it's
Loki.
there from. Oh, I know. There's so much, but there's also Zed Cars from 1976.
Well.
How am I going to find Doctor Who actors in that from 1976? I don't think so.
Have you looked on Disney Plus for Zed Cars?
Is it shot on OB videotape? It is not. So I don't care about Loki. I don't want to see that.
Is there anywhere you can actually see Zed Cars?
Only on YouTube, from what I understand.
Of course, yes.
And of course, being a show from the 60s and early 70s, hundreds of episodes don't exist. So
I have another question. Okay. Why the hell are we talking so much about Zed Cars? Get back to the damn schedule.
That's true. Anyway, that's a big one. I want to be there for that at 12 noon. Thankfully, my panel is later on in the day, so I'll have time for this. But we also try to get interviews as well throughout the course of the thing. We'll have Andrew Smith on the show. We've already confirmed it. We're publicly committing that he's going to be on the show. So we don't need to go to that Cafe Clutch with Andrew Smith also at noon at the same time. So there.
I've gone the last couple of years anyway. There's a podcasters meetup at 12 o'clock as well, which it can be fun. It's usually a networking kind of thing,
right? I've been a while. We used to do it. Been for a while. Yeah, no,
because I have.
You have been. I know.
Haven't.
Well, I've been running off and doing things. But
this is not news. It's easy to get not distracted, but diverted. Diverted is a better way to put it. At Gallifrey One, you see a friend you haven't seen in a year, and all of a sudden you're hanging out with them.
That's true. Yeah, that is
very true.
Very different thing. Anyway, Louise Jameson, of course, is at Gallifrey One. Her interview is with Nigel Fairs at not the big stage. I think she's a Program B at that one. Because
the big stage is the from script to screen.
Yeah, it's sometimes like the color coding. I keep thinking that's the type of panel and not the location of the panel. So sometimes I get confused by that. But our friend Amanda Ray Prescott is interviewing Michelle Greenidge at 1 p.m. That is back on the main stage and stuff. Anything else jumping out at 1 p.m. there you want to talk about?
Nicola Bryant, her interview is at that same time, and that's probably, I'm assuming, B.
That's in Program B as well.
Yep,
with noted Star Trek hater James Kerwin on it. I don't know. He's the one who's moderating the Star Trek panel. I don't know if James wrote the info for that panel, and I'm just attributing this to him. But
one that might be interesting is the Cosmic Joyride panel, which is looking at speech, as we were just talking about a moment ago, looking at representation throughout pre-Shutigawa era stuff.
Very cool. That's happening in Program C at 1 p.m. So lots of stuff at 1 p.m. is what we mean to say. There's lots of stuff, everything. You really have to sort of pick and choose, at which ones you want to go to.
And then 1:30, Amanda stays on the stage and main stage and talks to Susan Twist.
That's right. Does she even leave the stage, or does she just say, "Go away, Michelle, come back, come on"? Like that's basically her show. It's Amanda Ray Prescott's hour. An hour with Amanda Ray Prescott is what they should build that as, really.
Sure, Amanda Ray Prescott and guests and friends.
Will Cat, having interviewed Mark Sheppard, Will Cat get a photo studio session with Mark Sheppard as well, because that's happening at 1:35.
Well, the room in which we record here, there's 2 photos on the wall of prior photo ops she's done. I think Calgary Expo.
Okay.
With her and Mark Sheppard.
Already been. Okay. Already
probably
done.
Not. She's been there, done that.
Okay. Wasn't sure if that. I was talking about the last
one
night
here with Jenna Coleman.
Yeah. I mean, there's photos of me with these people on stage. So like, I never saw. But you know what? As the years go on, I'm thinking sometimes I think I should get a photo. Maybe just one day get a photo, and then
I have my Nichelle Nichols photo for that very reason.
That's
right. When's this going to happen again?
Right?
So.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have
now
to,
never.
Of course, yeah. But I was
exactly.
like, this is uhura. I got it. Come on.
Yeah. Jenna Coleman, big interview Saturday with our friend Riley Silverman at 2 o'clock. That is when that's happening, so that's going to be a big one. I might check it out just to take notes and say, okay, they're talking about that. I won't talk about that on mine on the Sunday, which we'll get to. Yeah, but you never know. People will be filled with that one. That's the thing. I don't want to go there and says, excuse me, I'm taking your seat because I'm taking notes from my own interview with Jenna Coleman, because that would be rude, even ruder than sitting in the front row of a panel and thinking you're on the panel. Don't do either. So, that happens at 2. That's going to be a big one because, of course, this is Jenna Coleman's first Gallifrey One. So,
yeah. A couple other interesting things at the same time. Short seasons, long waits.
Oh my God!
With Riley's game of wrestling and Good Chaotic.
Dan Peck.
Yeah.
Just talking about the short seasons, long waits. So 8 episodes of Doctor Who, months, Christmas special, months, next series,
great
or
panel.
Longer in between.
And those are good cats. I can vouch for both of them.
Yeah, both
absolutely.
Family Guy.
She also wrote Joyride, that movie that came out about a year ago.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Jerry Chiva has her fingers in a lot of pies.
Yeah,
she's getting a lot of work, a lot of generally EP work, but writing as well. And then also a panel on the Mars rover, Perseverance.
Hell yeah,
would be very interesting, including somebody from JPL. So yeah, that might be interesting. And then the myths and legends of Gallifrey.
That one also looks pretty cool. Yeah.
Also at the same time, mythology within Doctor Who.
I want an old fan to stand up and yell about how they should have changed from the third Doctor to the that old angry controversy from when the Deadly Assassin came out and changed the mythology completely. I want somebody who absolutely hews to the first 2 appearances of Gallifrey and will not take no for an answer.
I wonder if there's going to be talk about the War Chief being the master. My God.
I guarantee that'll be happening.
Could well be.
There is going to be mud slinging at that one. Let me tell you.
Scott Hancock, Gary Russell, Stacey Smith, amongst others.
Yeah.
I just have this vision of it's kind of like football supporters, but they're all singing the Master Vainglorious, the people who support it, and the other ones are, I don't know, whatever.
Just shouting it down. Would be. Yeah, singing the War Chief music or something. Listen, I feel like I need to meet James Kerwin if he is indeed the person behind the write up for that Trek panel. He's also hosting at 3:00 the ever-changing frame rates of Doctor Who. This is the first panel.
Yeah, we're definitely going to meet him because I'm going to that.
That was pointed out to us about the frame rates and resolutions over the past 60 years here in North America and the UK. What a fascinating idea for a panel.
Absolutely non-negotiable. I have to be at that.
I might have to be at it. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah,
you're gonna be naked and covered in Crisco.
Stop it!
But you'll be there.
Why are we going here, Chris? Come on.
Oh, tell me that's not true.
I don't know.
I got you there. But also, when you talk about Stephen and Crisco, you're not talking about Z cars, or are you?
Oh, you might be.
No, I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
Oh, me. Oh, that's fair.
You covered in Crisco.
I can't. That might be in my Instacart order. Who can say?
Could be. At the exact same time, Political Allegory and Doctor Who, hosted by the DePaul University Doctor Who Club. That is the club that is cool. Put together by Paul Booth. I was on it back in the, 4 or 5 years ago. I think I was on a Zoom call with those people who, literally, it's a university course about Doctor Who. They talk about Doctor Who.
So it's a field trip, kind of.
Kind of is. It's a panel. So I kind of want to check that out as well. I'm being torn between 2 places, between neat, interesting panels and also interesting panels about frame rates, for God's sake. So 3:00 is going to be a tricky one for me to navigate.
Come on, frame rates. You know what's winning on this one.
It's got to be frame rates. That's true.
It's got to mark the frame rates on my sked app here.
Yeah. 3:30 though. Adrian Endeley shows up again. I'm talking to Joel Collins, Julie Gardner, with the executive producers on the main. That's on the main stage, right? Yes, it is. From 3:30 to 4:15. That is a hell of a thing. To talk about. Yeah. So that's a cool one that I might want to check out, which is probably good because I'm on the main stage after that because I'm talking to, for the first time ever at Gallifrey One, Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy are there at the same time, and they've never been on stage together, obviously, at Gallifrey One until I talked to them both at 4:15.
That is surprising. That is very surprising.
That is surprising,
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean they've been at other places. I've talked to them both, along with Peter Davison at Chicago TARDIS a few years ago, but at Gallifrey One, it's never happened. So that's gonna be fun. Looking forward to him. So there, that's at 4:15. That's my one panel that I'm actually performing on in the day, and it happens towards the end, which is kind of nice. So I can build up to that as opposed to panic in the early morning. So there. Yeah, and then Catherine Tate's on right after me again for her second of 2 one-woman shows at 5:00. So that's cool. I'd like to give her the last slap because you never know what's going to happen with Catherine Tate on stage. Catherine Tate, one microphone, no limits.
What is this, a soccer ad? Yeah, soccer. I said soccer, not football.
Say soccer, yeah.
Opposite Catherine Tate's second panel is another one with our friend Heather, separating art from problematic artists.
Well, why would that have come up so recently?
Even more relevant in the wake of the author,
a certain whimsical curly-haired fellow,
of American Gods.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's the first. He won't be the last, of course, but that's very, very, very present in a lot of people's minds right now.
It is.
Yeah, some raging and catharsis might be what's needed here. Yeah.
Especially given that person's association with Doctor Who.
I know. Yeah. And Jenna Coleman's when it was in a show like that, but the work of those people who are in those shows is deserves to be celebrated. That's the tragic thing about this. When one very problematic person is rightly called out for the stuff, it kind of like it threatens to erase the works of a ton of people on these things, which makes it even worse. So yeah.
Yep, that's very true.
Yeah.
At 6 o'clock, thankfully, there's some happier stuff. So there's the screening of Indoctrinated, which was produced by Ross Rudiger.
It was. Yeah.
I know that was shown at Chicago TARDIS.
It was.
And this is the Gallifrey debut. Well, because it's a new film anyway. But documentary on Doctor Who. Well, through the eyes of three American Doctor Who fans.
Right.
Whovians,
So,
I think you'll find.
Yeah, I think you find them call them Whovians. British people hate that. So, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to be, if I get to anything at 6 o'clock on a Saturday, it's probably going to be that.
Yep. Opposite that, the Game of Rassilon War, that's something you have ties to, is also happening at the exact same time.
I edited the last season of it. They also, they've kind of wound down the podcast, but they always do like a special, I guess reunion one at Gallifrey One. So yeah, that's what this is going to be.
It's like the Only Fools and Horses Christmas specials. This is basically what the Game of Rassilon is now.
I would say it's nothing like that at all. No. Other than it being a reunion of some sort.
Right, I getcha. Anyway, that sort of ends the day or segues into the evening things where the masquerade, of course, happens on the Saturday night. If you want to watch when right after the masquerade is the screening of the War Games in color. If you have not been able to see that, you can.
All the pro-war chief versus anti-war chief factions will again go to battle.
It's gonna be the Sharks and the Jets all over again.
Exactly,
a little bit. So yeah, so that
the Master Vainglorious.
Yeah, that's cool. I might wander in, especially the first few minutes, just to see the HD footage on the big screen.
Wow, you are nothing if not self-interested.
Listen,
I gotta say,
hey, it's worthy of celebrating. Damn it!
I never said it wasn't.
I know. Just, but yeah. So anyway, that's happening later. I might be 3 sheets to the wind at that point. I might be just yelling out stuff. About, I interviewed the guy
Chris,
who
make the joke.
That. Yeah, exactly.
Tell the joke, Chris, in the style of tell the joke, Bart.
No, we don't do the joke anymore. Because it's Sunday. The wisely scheduled sort of like lighter day. There's still some big stuff happening on the Sunday, but it is definitely a more relaxed vibe. Let's say. So much so that they throw Stephen Moffat an interview at 10 a.m. just to kick the day off. Riley is interviewing Stephen Moffat at 10 a.m. The energy will be different, perhaps.
Probably. I mean, if Moffat is. If it's anything, if his time at Galley is anything like his last trip in 2018, 19, he was holding court in the hotel bar.
That's
quite
right.
a lot, and so hopefully he's in fine fettle for 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
That's one thing to mention. What's so great about Gallifrey One is that so often the various people who you'll see on panels and on the main stage and interviews, you will just see milling about in the lobby afterwards, and it's like how many Philip Hinchcliffe, Chris Chibnall, Stephen Moffat, just chatting with random fans. The people who at the very top of television are just mingling with us pros.
I don't recall seeing like Colin Baker doing that much, but I do definitely recall Sylvester being quite social in the lobby and the bar.
Let's face it, it's mostly writers. Let's face it, because the writers are that died in the world fans like us, and this is basically just their opportunity to meet and argue about scarf lengths of Tom Baker. Like this is their time.
I don't know if this is unique to Doctor Who, but it certainly seems like Doctor Who is predominant with this kind of thing. Supernatural might be like that because of a huge, very tied together fan base. I don't know. I'm not a Supernatural fan, but it just seems like I've never run into this otherwise.
It is unique, and honestly, it's kind of unique to Gallifrey One too. It's just the thing that happens. It's honestly what I look forward to most is the time in the lobby where just the random socializing happens, and it's just it's my favorite time. It's my favorite time.
Also 10 o'clock, Who American Style. a what if sort of panel. What if Doctor Who was a U.S. TV production? Which back in the 90s, there's some alternate Earth out there where that TV movie went to series.
That's true,
and
it's going to find itself in the MCU somehow.
Probably.
It was owned by Disney, kind of.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been shot on Obi videotape. I'll tell you that much now.
I can't look at the title Who American Style without thinking of like the Simpsons 70s referencing dun, 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 bridging music. I can't do it.
I know the one you mean.
And then, of course, at 11 o'clock, Warren will be there, a picket sign in hand for drawing the line AI in the creative process.
And brass knuckles. But only for 6 fingers, because it'll be AI designed knuckles.
Yeah, it's not them celebrating. It's them discussing about where it is in the creative process, and
right out the door. That's where I want it to be.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. Johnny Morris is on that. I'm always interested to hear what Johnny Morris has to say about things. So,
not to get too deep into this, but as we record this, it's February. It's national finals season for Eurovision, where a lot of the countries are deciding their representatives.
Right.
And there's one from, I can't remember what country it is off the top of my head, but one who got into a bit of hot water talking about how much they used AI in their process. I don't know if it was the writing, the music, whatever. I don't know what elements were AI driven, but they just really embraced AI for this. And there's been a healthy amount of backlash from the Eurovision fandom.
Good.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with the backlash, to be honest.
I'm not normally on board with Eurovision fandom generally, but in this particular case.
Sometimes, listen, a strange bellow, fear and anger make companions of us all, Ward. So,
it's true. It's true.
It all started off as a grand...
mild curiosity in a
BBC
television studio, yeah. Run the roller. Anyway, 11 a.m. Following Steve Moffat's interview, it's Julie Gardner on her own, but Gary Russell, a very safe pair of hands, because of course Gary and Julie have worked together for years, so that'll be very interesting to hear about. Of course, we'll get all the dirt from Julie Gardner in our panel, so if you missed RFS, well then I guess you could go to see her solo panel. It'd be great, actually. I will totally be there for that.
It's marked off on my sked.
Yeah, I haven't put, because I have stuff that I, obligations, and so I've purposely not put anything else on my shed because I might
stand in front of the hotel with a Z-Cars pamphlet.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like religious recruitment style.
Yeah.
Have you accepted Z-Cars into your heart as your? Yeah.
Absolutely not. I never will.
But okay. So 2009, we did our first galley.
All right.
And I still very distinctly remember at the time doing something like this with the podcast, talking about the upcoming this strange thing we call Gallifrey One.
I know.
And just like, I want to go to this panel, I want to go to this panel, I want to go to this panel, I want to go to this panel.
So
and not getting to anywhere near the number of panels that one would like to get to. And I'm still doing it this year. It's like I'm marking off this, I'm marking off that.
Yeah.
If I get to them, great. But there's just because I'm marking it down does not mean it's happening.
It's almost like you kind of wish there was like a button to like not an on off, but like a green, yellow, red thing. It says green yes because I'm yellow. That's one I'm going to try to get to, but no promises. That sort of thing.
I liken it to bookmarks on my browser. Will I get to them? Maybe they're there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a good point too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, like, when you mark them on your schedule, it actually shows up. When you go to the panel on the Sked website, it shows you how many people will be at there. It's kind of like an RSVP system in a way, and so I kind of feel guilty about, like, I'm not marking these things down if it's not.
I don't. I don't.
No, that's fine then.
I know some people, I think Eric has done this in the past. I know Kat does it. Was looking at whatever for the attendees, and just because some people will psych themselves out by saying, there's like 400 people registered who have expressed interest in going to whatever. So like Mark Shepard one, for example, 178 have marked that one on their sked. Does that mean all 178 are going to show up? No. Are there going to be people outside of that 178 that show up?
Probably.
Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
So
some people don't use that system.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's definitely not the best not the best metric as far as knowing how many people are going to show up.
Yeah.
It can be a good measure insofar as, okay, this room has X number of seats, and there are X number of people who have expressed interest, so it's popular. I'm probably going to want to get there early to have a seat, but that's about it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not accurate, but it's fine. It's not intended to be, really. It's just more of a reminder system. And indeed, it's something to shame you for all the panels that you don't actually get to go to.
Shame.
Sure.
Anyway, back to the schedule. It's on the Sunday, of course. I'm torn again on the 12 o'clock. There's the live commentary of Rogues on the main stage. With Adrian Endeley and Joel Collins, Kate Herron, and Bryony Redmond. That is cool. I love live commentaries.
Sounds pretty good, yeah.
So that would be interesting to go to, but it happens at the exact same time as the State of Classic Who on Blu-ray panel.
Yeah,
I love Blu-ray.
Kind of gotta be at that one.
I've got both marked on mine, and I don't know which one I'll get to. More likely the Blu-ray one.
Yeah.
Just because I'm more interested in that than I am in the Rogue stuff.
Live commentary. Yeah.
It's a compulsion. The Blu-ray
live commentaries
thing
can be fun.
They can be fun. Well, I'll tell you what. Maybe we'll split the party on this one, and you can take notes on the Blu-ray stuff, and then on our episode recording that day, we can talk about it, and that's how we'll cover it. Yeah. That's how we properly cover a convention, is what I mean to say. Split the party, which apparently you're not supposed to ever do. But
no, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Speaking of splitting the party, the post-mortem for the game of Rassilon.
That's true.
Also at the same time.
Maybe some party splitting. Who could say?
Yeah, that's true. Also, just a live reenactment of an episode of Crown Court.
Again,
well, it's better than a live reenactment of an episode of Zed Cars.
Don't encourage him,
going.
That's not encouraging.
That's true. It's best seen on location, honestly.
One of the big things as well to talk about for 12 o'clock, the charity auction.
Yes, very much so.
Happens at that point as well. So it's for Cancer Support Community Los Angeles. So yeah, there's always a lot of interesting stuff at the auction, and obviously raising money for a very good cause.
Very good cause. I've always wondered, like, what counts as something to donate to the auction, because I've got 2 sealed Blu-ray sets for season 20, thanks to BBC Shop sending out way too many. And I thought, what do I just drop those off? Here you go. There's a free Blu-ray for you. I don't know if that would work or not, but
you know what? I've got some stuff like that sitting around here.
Right?
Well.
I know. I've literally got like
that is tempting as an outlet to let somebody else enjoy something, duplicate copies of what I've already
I've thought about that. I've thought about bringing those down just to say, like, either hand them out at the charity auction, or just like meet me in the lobby and says, hey, answer a trivia question. It'll be dumb. It'll be about Zed cars, but if you can answer this,
it will be dumb then. Yes.
Yeah,
it's and that's only because of our upbringing as Canadians, where any contest you have to answer a skill testing math question.
It's legal.
Exactly true.
It's for legal reasons that we have to do this.
It's literally the law.
So that might be a thing that I might do. So yeah, maybe 5 over the course of the weekend, and you and your knowledge of Zed cars could mean you could walk home with a free copy of season 20 on Blu-ray.
I'm bringing down a copy of the TV movie because a friend of mine kept taking it out of the library in Iowa, Katie Beth Schmidt, friend of the show, and I'm like, no, just take my copy. It's sitting in my ottoman. I don't care. Just please take this off my hands.
Yeah, I've got like 8 copies of it in various different forms. There's a big old panel at 1 o'clock, writing Doctor Who for audio, which is basically every single writer who is at the convention.
I've got that checked down for mine, but there are other ones here. Never Give Up, Never Surrender, which is all about Galaxy Quest, which still is great. But then Remembering Press Gang, which says it only has this Nick Seidler guy, but I know this is just me wish casting. I would love to see Stephen Moffat just kind of do a walk on.
He's making a cameo. He's got to be making a cameo. He has to.
Somebody must tell him we're doing a thing about Press Gang. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to talk about it. Who knows? But.
Right. I don't know. YTV aired that, and I never really watched it past the opening. Yeah, they did. They had it on, I think, for a little while when they just were obsessed with everything British. That's why they got Doctor Who, and I just remember as a kid, I had a crush on Julie Sawalha just from the opening credits of that. So
I did from AbFab.
Oh, I was looking at Julie Sawalha before AbFab as a press ganger. I never watched the show though.
I don't remember who.
Never watched the show. Didn't know that the future showrunner of Doctor Who wrote it.
You only lasted as long as the opening credits.
I guess. Stop it.
All right, enough. Talk about Zedcar some more, please.
There's a big panel. There's a
for Never Give Up, Never Surrender. The Galaxy Quest panel is partially because it just hit 25th anniversary. But I recently bought the 4K of that because it came out late last year, and it looks gorgeous.
It is still one of the best Star Trek movies, and it's not a Star Trek movie.
No, it isn't.
But it's one of the better ones. It's sure as hell better than Section 31.
Bring it up. Bring it up at that panel. 2 o'clock is the big old classic Doctor Who panel. Nigel Fayers is the one wrangling that one with Colin Baker, Nicola Bryant, David Gooderson, Fraser Hines, Louise Jameson, Katie Manning, Sylvester McCoy, Wendy Padbury, all the folks from the Old Testament of Doctor Who on the stage at one time. That is pretty cool. And then at 3 o'clock, the last proper panel of the convention. The year in review happens and closing ceremonies right after. But it is me and Jenna Coleman on stage together talking about everything Doctor Who to wrap up not only her first Gallifrey One, but indeed her first Gallifrey One convention. So that's cool. Look at that.
Not your first.
Certainly not my first. Certainly not my first. So yeah, that'll be cool. It'll be 10 years since I first interviewed Jenna Coleman. Interviewed her.
That's cool.
In Edmonton in 2015. Literally a couple weeks after she was finished shooting Doctor Who, but before Series 9 had finished airing. So like that's how recent and raw it was. So it'll be interesting for me. She won't remember, but it'll be interesting for me to sort of like say, hey, wow, 10 years have passed.
I was going to say, if you're going to have to make sure she remembers you and
she
that.
Won't.
Otherwise, you'll throw a strop and just not go on stage.
She wouldn't remember. Even if I had interviewed her earlier that weekend, she wouldn't have remembered me. So.
She won't remember you 5 minutes after your interview.
Literally never. No. And that is something that as an interviewer, I accept.
That's perfectly fine.
I know my role.
As hell.
It is. And that's the end of Gallifrey One. Remember when you were young, when in our 30s, we would try to stay up all night or something like that on the Sunday
That's not
night.
happening. Absolutely not.
Are
we all in our 50s now? Or Chris, are you still on the way?
Yeah, we are all in our 50s.
We're all there.
We are all in our 50s.
Well, then yes.
Eric Engman is doing. Okay, I was curious who's doing year in review.
Yeah,
because generally that was done by Matt Dale.
Yeah.
Who passed last year as
passed
well.
On, yeah. So yeah, Eric
a very young age.
Starts with that. Yeah.
So I'm glad to see somebody's picked up the torch for that.
Yeah, I find myself. I think the past 2 years I've actually gone to the closing ceremonies. I think I'm a little more. I've sentimental about these things, and I'm starting to go to them more. And I got teary-eyed at the end of these things, and so I'm going to them more. So I'll probably show up for that.
Favorite closing ceremony was, and this is very self-aggrandizing on my part, is when they announced, I think it was 2018 or 2019, I don't remember. They announced that an old friend is going to be leaving us, and they held up a piece of the carpet, and I yelled, I was right next to my friend Meta, "You absolute monsters!"
Right.
and the entire crowd started booing. Oh. It wasn't just me. Everybody was like, no. But then the next year I bought a piece of the carpet, or maybe that was that year, I don't remember. But yeah, so now I have a piece of the Gallifrey One carpet sitting. It's where I keep my game controllers.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we got one too. I remember the one when they did a big could you Steve Moffat is hesitant about coming to Gallifrey after leaving Doctor Who, and then they just basically did a 1 minute of cheering to say come to the Gallifrey, and he came the next year, and now he's coming back. He obviously hasn't learned, and he's coming back. So
once you pepper him at the bar about Z cars, you probably leave.
That's true. That's true.
He probably watched it as a child.
Yeah,
he's traumatized by it.
Yeah, and I mean that 2019 or whatever year he came was definitely not his first one. So.
No, he'd been there before.
I still remember sitting in the pub with him just before Galley 2008. So the year before we went, just asking him about
in the UK
the con
before,
in London.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to say maybe the first year I went to closing ceremonies, but if I did, I've never gone back since, just because it is such an emotional thing, just wrapping up that weekend.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I can only take so much sometimes.
I know
that's fair. And we're all quite exhausted. I mean, even now, especially now that we're desiccated skeletons.
I know.
But even back then.
Oh, exhausted just by talking about the convention. It's been an hour and a half into the show, and it's just been all about
We've got more
Gallifrey
news to come. What in the hell is
Still
going
news
on
to
here?
come, but Gallifrey One. That concludes the Gallifrey One portion of this podcast. I hope to see you there. You will hear from us all throughout the weekend, especially at 1 p.m. on Friday. Episode 1000 of this podcast, live on stage. Mystery Science Theater 1000 with Steve Moffat and Julie Gardner. So be there for that. And of course, all throughout the weekend for episodes 1001 and 1002, if you're keeping count at home, because that's how usually these things work. So that'll be fun.
But if you happen to miss Catherine Tate at Gallifrey One.
That's right. As we say, going into our news, she has been announced as a guest for Calgary Expo, April 24th to 27th here in Alberta, joining Jodie Whittaker and Amanda Gill as guests that weekend. So, wow, further enticing us to go down for a thing, for a Doctor Who related thing in our province, which we'll see. Doctor Who will almost certainly be airing at that time, so that might be a busy weekend for us all. But
and you were also saying that's when the Stanley Cup playoffs will have started by that point as well.
That too. So it could be dicey. So anyway,
that's a big time in Warren's life. We all know.
I just love it so much.
For
all
many
16
reasons.
months of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Exactly. Hey, some stats for you. The final 28 plus day. We don't usually do stats, but we're just reading these out just because. But what Doctor Who: Joy to the World picked up it's finished with 6.38 million. Rising to 7 million with the BBC Three repeat included. If you want to do that, yeah.
So it didn't change position in the top 10, but it still picked up more people in the plus 28s. The main reason I put this in the news list, well, number one, Gavin and Stacey, 20.56 million.
Madness.
Wallace and Gromit, 17.6.
That's
madness.
Basically unheard of numbers these days.
Yeah, huge.
Wallace and Gromit makes sense because people wait around for years and years and years and years. And
the Gavin and
same with
Stacey
Same with Gavin and Stacey. It's been years
so,
since something as well.
I underestimated the appeal of that, yeah.
Whenever the long national nightmare that is Mrs. Roundboys, and that ain't gonna get those numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
But the main reason I wanted to put it in the news list was at the bottom there's a mention of the War Games. War Games in color with an audience of 0.43 million, which for something that originally aired in 1969 was cut down greatly for time. And all that,
and it's on BBC Four, which is intended to be for your artsy kind of stuff, and it aired 9:30 or something at night as well.
500,000 people ain't bad. People in America, which is currently on fire and will continue to be so for 4 years, there's 20,000 people watching the news. It's not. I mean, I might be underestimating, but it's not anywhere near what you'd think it would be. And this is 500,000 people watching the War Games in color. So,
yeah. Definitely. So there you go. There's some stats news for you. I know you've been begging for that there, dear listeners. So now you got it. Jane Tranter, Doctor Who producer, of course, one half of the people who run Bad Wolf, along with Radio Free Skaro guest Julie Gardner, is going to be chairing the 50th Edinburgh TV Festival, which is probably happening in September. I think it's usually when these things happen. She's going to be the chair of it. So I know sometimes I always try to keep an ear to the ground with the guy, because sometimes there's Doctor Who related or BBC related news that comes out of Edinburgh, the TV Fest, because it's UK based. So maybe something will happen.
Just like there's sometimes news coming out of MIPCOM in France.
I know. I get MIPCOM emails because of that. Even back when I worked at a TV station, I used to get emails about that. Because that was part of my job in a way back then, was keeping an eye on those things. But
you had to know what to buy for the channel.
Even though I wasn't the one buying it, but I was buying the cassette tape that it came on. I'll say that much.
My favorite one of those in that same TV station was when they came out. I can't remember how this worked out, but basically, Eyes Wide Shut had a not censored version that somehow got to the TV station. We probably showed it. I don't remember. But we got a letter from the Kubrick estate, because he passed away already, saying you have to get rid of all these. We had to send them back. And I did a dub of my own before that happened. But I did Xerox the letter from the Kubrick estate. I'm like, holy crap, Stanley Kubrick's estate mailed us. And people, ignoramuses, as you can attest to, are like, what's the big deal? I'm like, you don't understand. Like, we're one step removed here from Stanley Kubrick, i.e. his lawyers.
Which is, the only part of him surviving right now. So yes, I will
but it was
take
still kind of cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely it was.
I've talked about it, just riff off that for a quick second.
Yeah.
We've talked about it on the show before, but I guess it's 2008 as I look it up. I didn't think it was that old, but it is. Anyway, there's a documentary from 2008 called Stanley Kubrick's Boxes, which is just going through his boxes of stuff.
Damn.
Because he was a pack rat,
with his widow. And that was a very interesting thing. Apparently, it's in chunks 5-minute chunks on YouTube.
I think it's called Life in Pictures, and it's narrated by Tom Cruise. It's very good. It just basically goes through all his movies and with interviews about it. And it's from 2001, I think, but it's a very good documentary.
But not that 2001.
Not that. No, different. No,
it's around that time it came out. I might be wrong about the date, but yeah.
Record Store Day coming up April 12th, and there is a Doctor Who related thing coming out there. It's the 10th planet on monochrome. It's like white and silver, 2 discs or something like that.
2 records. That album art is
phenomenal.
Pretty great.
So
cool. It is phenomenal.
They do such good work on these vinyl.
I'm not a vinylist, but stuff like this, tempts me.
Like if I had a spare wall even that wasn't taken up with bookshelves that contain Lego, I would get these vinyl releases to put them up as art.
So you're never getting them, is what you're saying?
No, sadly. Well, I can look at pictures. I can look at the pictures, and that's pretty cool too. But you can get these April 12th Record Store Day in the UK. I don't know about the North America. I don't know how that works, but it was on the official Doctor Who website, so it's which means you could probably have more opportunities to get it at some point. Right. Quickly moving on. Ace Jacket. It's a story, a book rather, about Ace's jacket, all the pins and stuff on it. It's kind of cool. It's sort of a thing with a whole bunch of Doctor Who celebrations for fans and cosplayers supporting a great cause from Sophie Aldred with Sean J. Levy. It's basically all about Ace's jacket and all the different pins on it. Of course, Sophie Aldred has the original jacket still, as seen in The Power of the Doctor, but this book is all about that. It's for a good cause, supporting autism charities. So that is coming out in July. You can pre-order it, and obviously the money goes to those charities. So links in the show notes, radiofreeskaro.com for that. Chris has added something I didn't know about, Chris. You get to talk about it, but coming in 2026, October of
2026.
What is happening? What is this?
The Doctor Who, the Encyclopedia, fully revised and updated by Gary Russell.
Oh, wow.
So this is a hardcover coming out in late October 2026.
Wow.
I know nothing more about it than that. This is just one of those things that just somehow the information just hits
right
so far in advance of actual release.
Are we to assume that the history of Doctor Who will be ended by that point? That Doctor Who's going to be canceled, and therefore 2026 is the safe time to put it out?
You really are a Doctor Who fan, aren't you? With your doomsaying.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Wow. October 2026. That's like the House. The elections will be like the week after that, for crying out loud. I mean, that's. Think about it. There will be U.S. elections.
I guess it would
there will be U.S. elections when you're reading this book.
I like how you're like, think about it. 2 disparate things have nothing to do with each other.
Yet at the same time. Think about that. And a couple big Finnish things. As we said, there's probably going to be a lot coming out next week at Gallifrey One during that panel. But the Fugitive Doctor, the second set was announced. A Fugitive Doctor, Dead or Alive. That's coming out July of 2025 with Alice Krieg more prominently displayed on the cover of this one as opposed to the previous one. That's coming out July.
Yeah, and it looks like there's whatchamacallit, the little, speaking of the certain author from before, the little box from the Doctor's wife.
The top
looks like in front of her on the.
That's true. I don't know what they're called though. It's the things that the cube thing from the War Machines and War Games initially. That's what we'll call it.
Was it War Games initially? Oh yeah, because War Games gets boxed up because there's the animation of the cube folding itself. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the origin of that. So that's on there. What could it mean? Find out in July. Doctor Who Dead or Alive, and then
what looks like is that a Spitfire
in space?
P-41?
Maybe. That's never happened before. Wait a minute.
Don't know what the plane on the cover is, but I know. World War II era.
Yeah, it's kind of it looks it is. And then comes slightly earlier in May, Colin Baker, Miranda Raisin, and Katie Manning in The Cosmos and Mrs. Clark with Doctor Who and Iris Wildtime together.
I love the title and the cover.
It's a very cool. There's a Dalek in there because they're contractually obligated.
With a mutant crawling out of his head.
Yep. There's Iris Wildtime, oddly enough, dressed up as Tom Baker from season 18. There's Miranda Raisin in the background. And then there's Colin Baker's Doctor reading Monsters of Outer Space, the same book that Ian is reading at the beginning of The Chase. So it ties in.
I think that's actually Iris Wildtime's costume.
I know it is. I know it is.
And then it's, for some reason, in the background, there appears to be a deer? Caribou, something standing on two legs with a Gallifreyan symbol on its chest.
Well, that is because the Gallifrey came down and blessed Canada with all their powers in the coming conflict.
It's not a moose.
No, it's not a moose, but it is an elk.
Well, it is my heart.
An elk's on the quarter in our country, so. Mm-hmm. So there.
Yes, it's there for the Edmonton Elks. Okay,
exactly. Let's get that Canadian content. Come on.
I mean, God, we need something to bring Canadian content to Doctor Who. We never said anything here.
Come on, there's a pendant in the first Jodie Whittaker episode about Ontario or Upper Canada or something.
That's the best we can hope for, I guess. But
yeah, Canada mentioned.
Yeah, in Doctor Who. Well, I'll tell you what, Canadians will mention Doctor Who a lot. That being this coming week at Gallifrey One, and the Canadians being the three of us. As we said,
amongst
many others, many others there. We're not the only Canadians there, but we will be there. We will be podcasting all weekend. Find us, answer Zedcar questions for free season 20 box sets. And it's going to be a fun time, as it always is. So we hope to see you there. If you're not there, hopefully we can convey the wonder and magic of Gallifrey One through these podcasts that you will be listening to all throughout the weekend. So until next time, which will be at Gallifrey One and episode 1000 of this podcast, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.